Hey guys, welcome back to another today's video. And today's video is going to be a brand new political discussion based video. And in this new discussion based video, this video was actually recommended to me for one of my viewers. He recommended this to me because he thought it would be a very good political discussion based video to talk about, because even though it might not be a major issue, it's a very small subject issue that our country is somewhat facing, that our country is really facing today in the 21st century. It's something that also matters also, and it's also the role of identity politics in America, as is what the title of this website says. And I said to my viewer that I would add it to my to-do list. So and here it is. This video is finally coming into fruition now. So here's this new discussion-based video on identity politics. So before we talk about the issue of identity politics, we have to understand we have to understand the term of identity politics, what it actually means. So as this website states, Merriam-Webster defines identity politics. Let me highlight it first. Merriam-Webster defines identity politics as groups of people having a particular racial, religious, ethnic, or social or cultural identity who tend to promote their own specific interests or concerns without regard to the interests or concerns of any larger political group. So that's what essentially identity politics is. It's essentially groups of people all banded together to promote their own interests, to promote their own concerns they're facing. So that they're saying that they're facing some hardship in our society. And this has worked, and has been throughout American history. We have seen identity politics play out. And one of those areas that has played out, and then now where that has played out, is the women's suffrage movement, the civil rights movement. Those are examples of positive moments of identity politics throughout American history. We see Martin Luther King Jr. What they did is he banded together, but he didn't use it negatively, like what some politicians are doing. What he did is he drew a larger circle around the group, and he emphasized what we all have in common as Americans, and we all collaborated with one another. And we found things that we had in common. We might have some disagreement on some issues, but then the other people started to come into the fray. More and more people started to come into this group, welcomed them into society, and started to advocate where their policies, their ideas on how our country should be. They advocated it to our politicians to the point where they legislated, where they passed the constitutional amendment, they passed the Civil Rights Act, which ultimately ended segregation, and this also played out when it came to abolishing slavery as well. That's one positive moment of what identity politics changed. One positive moment of identity politics changed America to the point that we are a country where everybody, regardless of the color scheme, where all people are created equal, where all people have the right to life, liberty, and to the pursuit of happiness that's enshrined in the Declaration of Independence. And as well, this also played out in the women's suffrage movement. This is another positive moment to identity politics, but that was during the late 1800s and early 1900s, where women, they all banded together and they all focused on a specific interest that they believed in. Where they believe that women should have equal rights. They should have their right to vote like what men do so far, where they're no longer property. They're no longer treated as property to their husbands and fathers, but they're instead also citizens like men are, that should have a say on policy, that should have a say on who gets to be president, who gets to be our local representative, who gets to be our senator, who gets to be our state legislature, who gets to represent us in our state legislatures, who gets to be our governors in our states. That they want rights, the same rights and liberty as what men did during the late 1800s and early 1900s. And this is a positive moment, positive moments of identity politics that changed America throughout our history, and which I'm going to repeat again, drawing a large circle around your group and emphasizing what we all have in common. What we all have in common is we all have stuff in common to actually make our society a better place for all people. So That's one big thing of what America, what identity politics has. One of the benefits that identity politics has brought to our country, and like what I said before, identity politics is not a bad thing completely, because that's one of the building blocks of our country, one of the building blocks of our democracy in this multicultural society, where where groups of people, like, they all band together from particular races, religious groups, ethics, social or cultural identity groups, where they're all promoting a specific interest or concern. If it is the Christians who actually if it is whites who identify as Christians, support policy that protect their religious freedom, that protect their religious liberty, where they protect their religious liberty, that supported Donald Trump back in the 2020 election. That is an example of identity politics. And like, yet again, it's also the civil rights groups such as Martin Luther King. That's a version of identity politics, and that's fine. But the one bad thing that identity politics, one of the negative sides of identity politics, which I'm going to read here, the political divisions that plagued the United States in the 1960s were reflected in the rise of identity politics in the 1970s. As people lost hope of reuniting as a society with common interests and goals, many focused on issues of significance to the subgroups to which they belong, based on culture, ethnicity, sexual orientation, gender, and religion. And this is actually sums up one of the bad sides of identity politics, and as what Jonathan Haidt, in one of the videos that he talked about, one of the negative sides of identity politics is common enemy identity politics, which essentially is me against my brother, me against my friends, me against my family, me against this group, me against this person, me against this side, because let's all unite together. Let's unite as one people and against this person, against this group, because they are the bad people. They are the cause of the problems, and that's very dangerous. And we've seen that in our current politics, even, like, for instance, during the 2020 election, before Joe Biden, when Joe Biden won the election, Donald Trump was actually Donald Trump was feeling the passion of his supporters, saying that the election was rigged. There was fraudulent voting in Pennsylvania, in Michigan, in Wisconsin, in Georgia, and Arizona, saying that people voted twice, saying people that they counted illegal ballots. The ballots won. Like, if you count the legal ballots, I won. And he fueled his supporters' passion, and saying, where he got his supporters to believe that the election was rigged, that the establishment rigged the election. We must all unite together against the establishment, against the establishment Republicans, against the establishment Democrats, because they are the ones that rigged the entire thing. They rigged the game in favor of Joe Biden, and that's one of the reasons why why they raided the Capitol, why they rioted on the Capitol, why the January 6th incident took place, why the January 6th Capitol riot took place. It's one of the reasons. That's an example of common enemy identity politics. People all united against each other. People all uniting with one group uniting against this person, because they are the bad people. They are the root causes to the problems. They don't even deserve to be called Americans. That's a very bad thing, and we've seen that play out in the January 6th, where Donald Trump united his supporters against the establishment, against the people that the establishment are the bad people. They don't deserve to be called Americans. They are the bad people. They are the root causes to why America is not great anymore. So that's one of the reasons. That's one of the negatives towards identity politics, and why we should not use this type of identity politics, because it will only cause a lot more fracturing among everyone and cause a lot more violence and division in our country. And that's something we do not want. We need more healing. We need more unity. Like another area of what common identity politics has common enemy identity politics that brought to our country is like what we saw in Texas. The Texas Democrats. They are the well, what they did is when they left the state, those Texas state elected state officials, when Texas Democrats when they left the state just to voice their opposition to it, they're all united against each other, against the Texas Republicans on their new voting bill, because they say it's completely voter suppression. It suppresses everyone's voters. That's what they're doing, is making it harder for people to vote, and that you're all uniting and saying that the Texas Republicans are against they are the bad people. They are against democracy. They don't believe in they don't believe in one person, one vote. They don't believe in increasing voter turnout where everyone has a chance to voice their opinions. That's a very bad thing now, because what the Texas Democrats did now, they're obstructing progress. They're obstructing legislation. They're obstructing important legislation, not just voting bills, but also bills that will help Texans out. And that's one of the bad things to identity politics, and why we should not go down this road. Why we should not just unite with our groups and saying that and united against this group because they're the cause of the problem. They are bad people. They don't even deserve to be called Americans. And that's one of the reasons why we should not go down this road. And simply because it will make us much more divided as a country, and that's not something we want in our nation. And that's one of the negatives of identity politics. And as like Jonathan Haidt said, we need to value more openness. We need to value more ideas. We'll value more political diversity. That's what we need, because everyone has. Let's draw a big circle around our group and emphasize what we have in common. Because we do have something in common. Republicans and Democrats, they have something in common. We all have something in common. When it comes to reforming our elections, we both have something in common. We believe our elections in our democratic system needs to be reformed. We need to reform our elections to make it fair to all candidates, to make it fair to all political parties. And we all have that common ground. Now we just have to collaborate. We have to propose legislation. We all have to actually. And we might have some disagreement on certain ideas, like mail-in ballots, for instance, like universal mail-in ballots. Republicans are completely against that because they say it would actually fuel a big problem that's going on in California, which I agree with, which would make ballot harvesting, which would actually make ballot harvesting much more worse, where everyone can collect a mail-in ballot, which would cause a whole bunch of chaos and could cause a lot of fraudulent voting taking place and too much rigging of our elections. And Democrats want to actually they want to remove so much voting restriction barriers, and they want to actually make it a lot easier for everyone to vote. They want to raise voter turnout to the point where it's 100%. And that's all, and that's something I agree with. But we also we have that disagreement. That's okay, because there is that disagreement. There's going to be division. That's one of the reasons why the founders created our society. They wanted some political division. They knew that there was going to be some division and gridlock, that there was disagreement, and all we have to do is collaborate, draw a circle around us, and emphasize what we all have in common. We both have, Republicans, Democrats, Libertarians, Greens, we both have in common reforming our democratic elections. We all have something in common when it comes to infrastructure, when it comes to healthcare. And even though we might have some disagreements on some things of infrastructure, healthcare, or education, we all have stuff in common. We just need to emphasize what the civil rights group did, what the people in the past, like Martin Luther King, what Susan B. Anthony did when she fought for established a group that would fight to grant women the right to vote, where they're no longer treated as property. We need more of those type of people. We need to look to them as our real inspirators to use identity politics to the point where we're all emphasizing, where we're valuing openness to new ideas, to new types of solutions, because everyone, like what I said in all my other videos, everyone has great ideas on cracking down on the major issues of our country's time. We all have great ideas. We just have to collaborate. We have to make sometimes we're going to make compromises sometimes to get things done, to actually meet progress where we can progress, where we can actually progress more. We can progress through electoral reform. We can progress even more to the point where we're making our country better, where we're drawing in a big circle around the group, where we're emphasizing that we do have something in common. For instance, this is exactly what I'm doing on my channel. Even though I might have some conservative people watching my channel, there are some left-wingers as well. So I'm talking to you, Super Thunder Good Guy, Zachary Bryan. You guys might have some disagreement with me sometimes, but I will I will always respect your overall opinions. Simply because let's value the openness of what our leaders had, or what our civil rights leaders had, what Martin Luther King Jr. had, what the women's suffrage movement had, because what they did is that's one of the positive contributions to our society. They drew a large circle around us, drew a large circle around the group, and they emphasized what we all have in common. And do you know what? We do have stuff in common. We both agree that we need reform. We need electoral reform. We both agree that ranked choice voting is the best way to actually is the best voting structure to reform our voting, where people can feel like they can vote for candidates that they feel like we can support. And we might have some disagreements. I know Zachary Bryan believes in completely abolishing closed party primaries and wants more of a Louisiana-style nonpartisan primary. I know you believe in that the Electoral College should be abolished. Even though I completely disagree with I disagree, and I don't think the Electoral College should be abolished. It should just be reformed and refined. And I do disagree with you on open primaries. But we do have something in common, and we do have stuff in common. We do have stuff in common. We both agree that we need to reform our democratic election. We both agree that we're in a time that we need electoral reform, and that's what I'm doing on my channel. We're all, and even though I might disagree with all of you guys sometimes on some issues, like Super Thunder Good Guy, he completely disagrees with me when it comes to 75% tax increase on the range. We all agree on stuff. But we all disagree on something, and that's common. We're always going to have disagreement in the workplace. We're going to always have disagreement in our education system. We just need to keep it civil. We need to emphasize, everyone, even the two major parties need to learn this, emphasize what we have in common, and let's just keep collaborating, keep up the discussion of how we can reform our elections, how we can make our healthcare much more affordable and free for everyday Americans, of how we can address climate change, and so much more, and how we can address and how we can make immigration better. Let's draw a circle around our group. Let's draw a large circle around our group and emphasize what we all have in common. Let's bring everyone together into the conversation of how we can make and reimagine America into a country that we all want to live freely and equally as proud Americans. And let's avoid the negativity of identity politics, where we're not using common enemy identity politics, where we're all united against this group because they are the bad people. They are the cause of the problem. Let's not do that, because that's only going to create far more division for our country, far more fracturing. Our country will be more fractured, and we don't want that. We want to reunite a society where we all have common interests, we all have goals, and we do have electoral. We believe in that we need to reform our democratic elections. We believe we need to reform our immigration system. We believe that we need to rebuild our crumbling infrastructure, modernize it for the 21st century. We both believe that even the two major parties believe that we need to do something to address climate change, because it is caused by human activity. We all have good ideas on how we can, and we might disagree with a lot of our ideas, but we do, and that's okay. Let's just keep collaborating. Let's evaluate. Let's appreciate everyone's ideas, because all people, regardless if you're conservative, centrist, liberal, reactionary, radical, and so on, that we all have good ideas. We have good we have good solutions to how we can fix our problem, how we can fix our country's problems together to the point we can strive to an even more perfect union as what our founding fathers what our founding fathers created for us. A country where all people are created equal under God, where everybody has the right to life, liberty, and to the pursuit of happiness. So don't forget to like and subscribe and like and subscribe and comment down below what you think about the overall issue of identity politics. Do you completely agree with me? Do we need to look to people like Martin Luther King Jr.? We need to look to people like Susan B. Anthony, who organized women, who organized a group of women to fight to establish their right to vote, making sure where they're no longer treated as property. Where if it's people like Abraham Lincoln in the Republicans during the Lincoln Republicans during the year of 1860, where this group united and they drew a large circle around the entire country where that we all have something in common. We all want to strive to an even more perfect union where all people are created equal under God. And that's what ultimately led to the abolition of slavery, positive contribution to our country. Let's actually look to the people. Let's look to Abraham Lincoln. Let's look to the women's suffrage movement. Let's look to the civil rights movement, the civil rights activists in the 1960s. Let's look to those people in our history, and we will together reimagine a new beginning for our country that will create a far better nation and a far more perfect union that our founding fathers wanted. So don't forget to like and subscribe again, and share your comment and share your overall opinion of what you think about identity politics and how we can overall address it. Because honestly, we all have great ideas, and we all have great ideas to overall crack down on the major issues of our country's time. Let's do it with dignity. Let's do it with respect. Let's do it civilly, and not negatively. Not partisan politics. Let's do it collectively as proud Americans, and let's strive to an even more perfect union that we all want to live freely and equally as proud Americans. So don't forget to comment down below and share and comment on other potential video ideas and videos such as on other political issues that you guys want me to talk about, and other and also third-party independent candidates that are running for office in 2021, 2022, 2024, and beyond. Share them all down below, because I will make a video about them in the near future. So don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, guys, this is Young Centrist, and I am out.